Dr. Joe. My name is Preston Starnes. My USCID is J62040509. I'm a student in your Marine Science 210 course, fall 2024, and I want to tell you a bit about my perspective on the documentary Chasing Coral. An overview of the documentary. It begins by introducing scientist Dr. Richard Veves, and he begins to go into detail and explain to viewers his love for the ocean and its coral reefs, while also leading into the serious issues being faced in both coral reefs and in our oceans. From here, we really begin to dive deep into the decline of the world's coral reefs, and we begin to learn about coral bleaching. They start off by explaining the stinging cells and how they are used for photosynthesis, and they come out to feed with their tentacles. Whenever oceans get really warm, this doesn't happen, and it leads to the bleaching. To gather more information about this, they begin a study in the Pacific Ocean on the reefs that are turning white. Dr. Veves even goes as far to state that this is an occurrence beyond his scientific knowledge. We later find out again that this is known as coral bleaching after this study. Personally, this is very chilling and scary to know that this is happening in our oceans. In the documentary, it shows a side-by-side visual of a reef earlier in the year compared to a couple months later, and it's completely different. In the first picture, it's very lively and bright and pretty, and in the next one, it's dead and white and not pretty anymore. From here, the documentary begins just to further the stressful phenomenon of the coral bleaching, and essentially this is the main idea and the overall topic of the documentary. From there, we then follow scientists and their team as they conduct research in various reefs around the world to gather more information on sea temperatures rising and coral bleaching. 4 things discussed in the documentary that we have covered in class that I would like to talk about are the importance of coral reefs, coral bleaching, climate change, and marine and coral conservation. So to start off with the importance of coral reefs, they play a very big role in our oceans, but as far as ecological significance, we learned that coral reefs support a quarter of all marine life species in our oceans. They provide habitats for many fish and other living organisms. They also play an essential role in marine food webs. We learned about the layers of the ocean as well, and coral reefs also play a big role in erosion control. They help remove carbon dioxide as well from the atmosphere. And then leading into coral bleaching. So we spoke a good bit about coral bleaching in class, and as mentioned before, it was the overall idea of the documentary. Essentially, it takes place when the coral gets stressed out from the water temperatures and I always mess this up, zooathlon? No, I watched a YouTube video on how to say it and now I can't remember. But basically, it's expelled from the coral. Usually the algae provides the coral with essential nutrients through photosynthesis, but when the ocean temperatures rise, the algae begins to produce toxins that push out and are harmful to the coral, which then leads to it being expelled. When this happens, the coral becomes very weak and it's more likely to die from starvation, disease, etc. Especially if the temperatures continue to rise, that's not good. The documentary showcases interviews with leading marine biologists and scientists in each of these studies who explain the factors contributing to bleaching, and they really emphasize the seriousness of the issue and how it's going to affect our environment and economy, etc. And then that leads into climate change, which is kind of the overall underlying basis of this issue. So like I said, connecting to what we just kind of talked about, ocean temperatures are rising on the earth and the earth is warming. We have discussed in class that each year carbon dioxide levels are going up by 2, and that's if we're lucky. That doesn't mean they can't go up by 3. This is bad because carbon dioxide is one of the contributing factors to climate change. as it is a greenhouse gas. And as we have learned, that gets trapped in the atmosphere and it's not good. The documentary makes it very clear that coral bleaching happens because it cannot withstand our rising ocean temperatures. We learn that it is not a typical ocean trend, but rather something that is driven by human activity. The documentary gives insight and warning that reefs bleaching are one of the first of many warning signs that's to come from global warming, and this is basically just kind of the start of everything going downhill, which is scary because the reefs are important, as we're learning. And then the fourth and final, marine and coral conservation. So obviously something needs to be done about this. As we've talked about in class, there are steps we can take to help with climate change, like carbon dioxide removal, solar radiation management. We talked about the sun lamps, etc. But in Chasing Coral, it's highlighted that individual and collective efforts need to take place to protect the reefs. Some of these include reducing carbon dioxide emissions. So again, that's like kind of the root of a lot of things. Marine protected areas, restoration, research, and even protection from overfishing in the reefs. And then to conclude, I give the documentary a thumbs up. Along with the class, both have really opened my eyes about a lot of issues that I didn't really know much information about before. And now I do care a lot about ocean conservation, and I feel like I know a good bit about it, and just our planet in general. And I have really been influenced to do my part to take care of the ocean and the earth as much as I can.